Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard this morning on this Thursday as we wrap up another week of fun and frolic, and on the wet side. But considering what a lot of the other country, what the rest of the country is facing, you see the temperatures in Texas.
I have not, but I'm sure it's not cold.
Record breaking, over 120 degrees, the hottest temperatures ever recorded, and there of course a lot of power shortages because they've depended too much on windmills and solar panels.
When
But solar
will
panels ought to
people,
be getting a great workout, though.
well, when will people learn their lesson? I mean, what was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago in Texas when they depended on this electricity and everyone's power was out?
Well,
in
that's it. Yeah,
Dallas?
that was because of the record cold, as
Yes.
opposed to. So we've had climate change, the record heat, but
So
the
it's not
record cold
durable
it froze
either way.
off. It froze the
Windmills.
the windmills. Yeah, so couldn't generate the electricity.
Well,
Darn the luck.
well, if the government would stay out of subsidizing things that don't work, I think that we'd be in better shape.
Yeah. Well, that's always a possibility. Meanwhile, our prayers continue, and it looks like time has just about run out on this Titanic submersible. That they said we're going to be running out of oxygen at 8 minutes past 7 this morning. They have 5 minutes left, if they even find them. And Brittany, the tragedy is that even if they do, and this thing is on the bottom, it's 13,000 feet down. It takes 8 minutes.
8 hours.
8 hours, that is, to get them up. Even if it took 8 minutes, that would still be, but 8 hours to get them up for decompression and everything else. It doesn't look good, and there's a local connection because the one of our top ophthalmologists here in town, Dr. Richard Schultz Jr., posted on his Facebook page yesterday that the pilot of this thing, the Stockton Rush, was his roommate in Princeton.
Oh, wow.
And he's praying for their safety and talking what a fine gentleman he was or is. We hope it's not was, but I think now at this point it's not a rescue mission anymore.
It's a recovery.
It's a
Yes.
recovery. And and also another interesting connection that his wife, great grandparents, perished on the Titanic.
I did hear that. I heard
So,
that there was that
wow,
Titanic connection.
what a other Titanic connection, which may be one of the reasons that he was so interested in
Yep.
all of this. But we've also, as we mentioned yesterday, political correctness has raised its ugly head on all of this.
Well, and Bill, you see on social media where people are like, you know what, these billionaires, they, basically deserve to die. And there are people rooting for their death, which I think is just disgusting. Like, how have we gotten here? Like, I don't care how much money you have or how much money you don't have. You are a human being. And I cannot believe that people would be writing some of the awful filth that they're writing on the internet.
Oh, yeah, that we have these people that disappear all the time and nobody does anything about it. Believe it or not, I remember when I was in college when Apollo 13 had the explosion on board, and we're all praying for the safe return, and we're sitting on pins and needles. And a lot of people say, well, why should we just be paying attention to those guys? Those three guys when we've got other people. It was the same argument that we're spending all this time. We're worried about all these people with all this other stuff happening, and people, we never go after them, or we never find them, or we're not putting on this big search or whatever. It's ridiculous. These people are important members of society, as you said, human beings, of course, but they are also very contributing to society. They are contributing to the human effort of space exploration or underwater explanation, or trying to get to the point of why this. We've never lost our fascination with the Titanic. You
No.
you can put out a book tomorrow on the Titanic. I promise you'll be on the bestseller list within a matter of hours.
Yeah, well, and I think that there's also a lot of new things that have come out, or new conspiracies that have come out around the Titanic, and just how many bankers actually died on that ship, and that it was around the time in which they were fighting against having the Federal Reserve. So there's like a lot of like different things about the Titanic that have become very dynamic, and there's a lot of different perspectives that come from this one ship.
Yeah, and they said it was targeted or something, but those icebergs will do that.
Yes,
Those evil icebergs targeting that ship.
Well, I do think it's just really interesting, and I do think, it is one of those things that it was probably a trip of a lifetime. I mean, I looked at the submarine and, I told you this morning, I'm like, there's no way I would get in something that looked like that. It did
No,
not look like it was very durable.
I'm kind of yeah, I'm kind of claustrophobic anyway. You get
Yes.
you got 5 people in that thing.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
I don't even know where those people go.
hmm well, to a great degree, I don't know where they go either.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that they have not mentioned this on any of the other shows. Of what are these people doing as far as there's no latrine or there's no bathroom on board this thing as far as I know, or and how would you get to it in the first place? You're down there. They've been there what 5 days?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
you
can't
can't
imagine.
you can't hold it for 5 days. I don't care who you are. So what it how the human needs or just bodily function. It is how do you cope with that? But the fact that you're almost sitting on top of each other. They said that you can't be claustrophobic and get in this thing.
How long was the trip supposed to take originally? Do you know?
I don't know. When you consider that it takes about, if we said like 8 hours to get down there, and then how long do you stay, and then 8 hours. So we're talking about at least a day, maybe two.
So they
I
would
don't.
have had to plan for that.
Mhm.
Like I'm not sure. Yeah, they would have had to plan to be down there for a certain amount of time, and it's like I don't know.
Well, you would think that there would be all sorts of emergency type things, that backups to backups, and also another thing that I heard that not that it would have done any good if you open the hatch down there at 13,000 feet,
Oh,
you're
okay.
dead immediately, but the you can't open this thing from the inside; it's bolted from the outside, so it has to be once it gets up, it has to be they can't just open the door as soon as it breaks the surface. Uh,
Well, and it can't go down by itself, right? It has to have a secondary ship with it, right? And that's what lost signal.
I,
That's what I understood.
yeah, I don't know.
So very complex thing, and like I think it hasn't been around that long.
For those who know,
Let us know.
send us an email,
Yes.
because we don't. Once upon a time they had those diving bells and stuff where everything was connected, so
Yes.
you knew where the thing was because it was connected back up to the ship. So I don't know. I don't think this one. I think this one is independent type thing, but I don't know about that. I didn't know about another craft going down with it or anything like that.
No, I think there was like a kind of like a pilot ship where
Uh-huh.
that's what it's
Yeah.
signaling to. So,
Right.
and I think it lost signal within 45 minutes of going down, which at that point
You should
they
have done
should have
something.
been,
It
yes.
should have been all hands on deck, as it were. And the thing is that you also think about the red tape that they say are involved. That they said that we have these robotic craft that can go in, and people have come up with, and so we've got these robotic things that can go in and start looking for them, and there's all sorts of uh, bureaucratic red tape or
Of
something they had to
course.
go through to get this thing to get those permitted to use them. I mean, that's just crazy.
Well, I also heard that it takes about 12 hours just to get the rescue stuff. Like if you
Hmm.
acted immediately because of all of the work that goes into preparing a ship for recovery like that.
Right.
So getting it out to the location and all of that, it's not just someone explained it. They're like, it's not a Marvel movie. It just
Hmm.
doesn't show up. Like you're fighting against the clock anyways. And then when you add these other elements of trying to get everything there to do a rescue mission, I mean, you're halfway through the clock.
Yeah. So
Very,
if
very sad story.
it
And
is, I don't think we're going to find these people alive if we ever find them at all. And it is, but if they do rescue them and they do come out alive, it'll be the biggest, most unusual rescue in sea history,
yes, and they will
maritime
actually be
history.
able to write a book and make a lot of money about the
Yeah. Oh,
Titanic.
yeah, for sure.
So,
But our prayers go with all the members of the family to Dr. Richard Schultz, your roommate from Princeton. My sympathies go out to you for what it looks like you could be losing a good friend.
yes, I don't even know what to say, Bill. It's just a really sad story, and
Hmm.
also I think I don't know, knowing that you're working against the clock and being in a closed space like that, oh, that would be horrible. So, hopefully we'll have some updates early next week on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Meanwhile, to other news about somebody getting the old heave ho, so to speak. Adam
Yes.
Schiff, who doesn't, he's lying when his lips are moving.
Yes, he's developed quite the reputation, hasn't
He
he?
sure has.
I
And
did.
is proud of it.
Yes, and I did hear that he is running for that Senate seat, Feinstein seat. Is that correct?
And the unfortunate part is he's probably going to get elected.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
I do. Here's the thing: they were able to censure him, which okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's not going to be any consequence, though.
Right.
He's not going to pay a fine. That the resolution was rewritten, and that's why it was able to go back to the floor. One of the remarks that Thomas Massie made was that they did not want to start they didn't want the blowback of what the Democrats could do when they got in charge to Republicans. And to me, Bill, do you think the Democrats ever worry about what they do and that the Republicans will use it against them?
It didn't seem to bother them when they were impeaching Trump twice for nothing.
Yep.
And they had a slim majority, and they were full bore. And I remember when the first time they lost, when Newt Gingrich took over, and that big take, first time that the Republicans had control in over 40 years, and they said, "Don't forget our minority rights." So they still acted like they were in control, and the Republicans let them. And when the Republicans were voted out into the minority, they said, "Don't forget our minority rights." Said, "I'm sorry, we won, you lost."
Well, and someone brought up a good point yesterday. They're like, there isn't a movement, or there's not a political party that represents me because I'm so mad at the government and I'm so upset with what they're doing, and neither party represents that.
Exactly.
And they're beginning to look like, mirror images of each other, with the exception of some of the cultural things that we're seeing. But other than that, it's like, what do we get when we get a Republican?
Mm-hmm.
We need more people that are firebrands.
Boy, do we ever.
To stand up and live by the platform.
Yeah.
Like, they should be voting on, is this part of the Republican platform, or am I voting against what my people elected me for?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a huge problem within the Republican Party,
exactly.
from local level all the way up to the federal level. So,
So do we have that?
Yes. So we do have them censuring Adam Schiff yesterday.
Yeah. Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in favor of H-Res 521 to censure and condemn Congressman Adam Schiff. The bottom line is this: Congressman Schiff utilized his position and hid behind classifications to mislead the American people. He abused his congressional authority and security clearance to push his own party's political agenda. This was not meant to be an unbiased jurisdiction of change. This was meant to be a political witch hunt. When members are appointed to select committees on intelligence, they are trusted with privileged information, and other members of the House are taking them for their word. As someone who had worked within the intelligence community, I can tell you that our classifications that we're available to take and read is not to be abused for our own ulterior motives. I hope my colleagues will join Congresswoman Luna to censure and hold Congressman Schiff accountable, and to put an end of the waste, fraud, and abuse, and the gross neglect in how we take advantage of the American people. With that, I yield back.
That the House of Representatives censures Adam Schiff, representative of the 30th Congressional District of California, for misleading the American public, and for conduct unbecoming of an elected member of the House of Representatives. That Representative Adam Schiff will be forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. That Representative Adam Schiff will be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And that the Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's falsehoods, misrepresentations, and abuse of sensitive information.
So after that, the Democrats rallied around Adam Schiff like he was this big hero, and they said, "Adam, Adam." It was
before
really
that, they're
disgraceful.
like, "Shame, shame, shame." I don't know whether Republicans don't start doing that when the Democrats come up with these stupid ideas to destroy America.
Well, I will say that some of the because you have the suburban housewives that are like, we have to be proper. We have a lot of Republicans that don't believe in playing the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're above that. It's like, well, we're kind of at the point where we've got to do something different because what we're doing is not working.
Exactly. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not working well for us.
No. And so then Adam Schiff, of course, he loves the camera more than anyone we've ever met, I think. So he
or Schultz or Schumer.
Yes.
As the old saying goes, the most dangerous place in Washington is not out on the street with these thugs shooting at everybody, and the collateral damage. It's getting between Adam Schiff or Chuck Schumer and a microphone.
Yeah, it's probably not a good place to be. So stay
Right.
away from that.
Mm-hmm.
But he ends up on I want to say Adam Cooper. That's not his name.
Okay.
CNN.
Oh, Anderson Cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah, of Anderson Cooper 321.
Yes. So he ends up on that show last night, and let's take a look.
Do you have any regrets on how you handle the Russia issue? Obviously, the former president was never criminally implicated for anything involving Russia.
No, not at all. I think the investigation of his misconduct was very important. It ultimately led to his impeachment, which I was proud to lead, and it led to the first bipartisan vote to remove a president in U.S. history. I was also proud to serve on the January 6th committee, and I would do all of that again, and I would do it the same way.
So he regrets nothing.
Yeah, and we have all the evidence now that this was a total hoax. The Mueller investigation proved that 3 years ago, to the tune of $32 million of our taxpayer money.
Well, not only that, he also released Devin Nunes's phone number.
Yeah.
Like, you're releasing phone numbers for members of Congress. Like, that is wrong. I am not sure. I'm sorry. This person, he's despicable. I have no idea. We're going to shame him in front of everyone, and there's going to be an investigation. Don't know where that's going to lead, but I'm not super confident in that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he may be the next senator from California, because Dianne Feinstein is done. She doesn't even know what day it is.
Yeah, well, it seems to be happening a lot on the Democrat side.
It sure does. All right, coming up next.
We have a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to what is Google doing to censor this BlackRock story, and how much does BlackRock own in Google?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. We'll find out more next. At Get Real America, we are focused on Savannah, but we'd like to hear from other communities as well. We have a lot in common.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
We keep telling you that one of the most powerful tools that the news media has is the power to ignore.
Yes, and also the other thing is that these big tech companies have the ability to also make sure things go away.
Yeah.
And one of those things is we heard the story yesterday about BlackRock and how they've really bought off senators. They've done a lot of shady things, and they love the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you can be bought off for $10,000.
That's pretty cheap, I think.
Yeah, I do too. You have
willing to sell your
to buy
country
me
out?
off. You'd have to give me a lot more. But I can't be bought. I can be rented for the weekend.
Yes.
But I can't be bought.
So they can buy your vote in certain things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. But I do think it's interesting when you look at Twitter, how much traction, because Elon Musk did buy Twitter, and there is free speech being allowed to happen on Twitter, and there's not a lot of these restrictions. And when someone does get banned on Twitter that is wrongfully banned, it's fixed rather quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but not with Google so much.
No, Google. The interesting thing about Google is they have some interesting shareholders. But James O'Keefe was talking about what happened with their story on Google when it came to BlackRock.
Yeah.
OMG's BlackRock expose trending on Twitter, 234,000 tweets, hundreds of thousands of likes, tens of millions of views. But as Addison Smith pointed out, if you Google my name, you can't actually find the story. Google appears to be suppressing this video. It doesn't show up until page 3 in the news search. The most popular tweets about BlackRock on Google are from days ago. So we looked into this. BlackRock is listed as Google's second largest institutional shareholder with $44.5 billion, 6.23% stake in a $1.56 trillion market cap. Bottom line, Google is censoring us, but we're getting a lot of information, a lot of informants, a lot of sources coming to O'KeefeMediaGroup.com. So how about we raise the stakes?
So I do think it's interesting who owns the most shares, which is Larry Page, Sergey Brin, and Sundar Pichai, which which is the Vanguard Group, the BlackRock Group, and the Rowe Price Association and FMR LLC, which the last two I've never heard of, but Vanguard and BlackRock have been very prevalent in creating a lot of chaos and a lot of crap with this ESG score. So it's interesting that they don't want anything to be found on Google about BlackRock.
Yeah, and a lot of people are turning against the ESG stuff.
They should be. How is Target and Bud Light done with that whole thing?
Not too good.
Turns out it's bad for business, and you cannot. Business is not made to be a advocacy group. It's actually for a purpose. It's to sell products. That's the beauty of capitalism. And I think that people have misinterpreted. I will say, when I worked in corporate, I was so disappointed in the fact that I couldn't tell people you need to do your job or leave. It was, okay, you need to tell them they need to spend less time in the game room and make sure that some of their things get done. So I couldn't hold them accountable to productivity. It's then what are we doing here? What am I managing? People's fun time in the game room?
Yeah, exactly. And it was it's like the story of the missing submarine. What was this? The CEO is sitting up there saying, "We want more diversity. We want more young people in this. We don't need." And whereas other companies, they say they've been hiring these ex-military submariners and people like that. Yeah, people that actually know what they're doing. That young people cannot be inspired by 50-year-old white guys. And this is, of course, a 60-year-old white guy. But nevertheless, if something is interesting, it's inspiring. And kids are going to. I remember as a kid, one of my dad's best friends. They were classmates together at Georgia Tech, and he's in his mid to late 60s. And I couldn't wait to get up to Charleston. My dad lived in Charleston. My parents were divorced when I was 9. Dad moved up there, but a little bit of the background story. But I'd go up there, and one of the first people I wanted to see was him. He was a scientist. He had all these. He had this subscription to Scientific American magazine. I go up there, and he had National Geographic, and we'd go over all these things that he was working on. I was totally fascinated. The fact that he was like 62 or 3 years old and didn't have a lot of hair didn't make any difference to me. So I was inspired by this man. His name was Ware Fitzgerald, and I enjoyed being around him and looking up to him. And I was like a 15, 16-year-old kid.
Well, and I prefer to talk to older people because they're far more interesting. They live through a lot more than I have.
Sure.
And, talking to them, they just have a different insight into things. And so for me, they're far more interesting than younger people. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, but it's simply because of more life experiences. I can remember listening to my uncle Curtis telling these stories through life, and I'm sitting there, and I was a 14 to 15-year-old kid, and I'm sitting there saying, "Wow, I wonder why I don't have all stories like that." Well, I hadn't lived 55 or 60 years yet. It's just pathetic. What the logic or the lack thereof, and the fact that we're not going after the biggest, the best, and the brightest. If they're all white, so what? If they're all black, so what? If they're all women, I don't care. They're rolling you into the operating room. I want to make sure that everybody in there has experience. I don't even want a doctor that's practicing medicine.
No.
I want one that has been practicing in a long time.
Yeah, well, and our friend Lizzie says, but people facing serious surgery want the most competent person available. You're absolutely right. How long do you spend searching for a doctor when you have to have something serious done? You don't go to the first person and say, you'll do. That's not typically what happens. You do a lot of research. Our friend Joe Pilot is with us this morning, and he said the good old boy system is a tough cookie to crack. I've been fighting my local government since 1993. Social media has finally put the ball back in the people's court. Now they can't hide. I agree with that. I think Twitter is the only one that is truly allowing a lot of those conversations to happen. I don't think that Facebook definitely is not. YouTube, they love to censor people, including us. And, Rumble's come out, and there's some new things coming out that are allowing us to have the conversations needed. I don't know if you heard about this, but Joe Rogan offered one of the scientists that has been a big pro-vaccine person to go on his show. And he would, I believe the amount is $1.2 million to go on to a charity of his choice. $1.2 million, that's a lot of money. For a charity of his choice to debate RFK Jr. He won't do it. So why would you not do that?
Well, why you pass that up? Because $1.2 million, if you give it to Hunter Biden, you only have to pay $100,000 tax on it.
Oh.
So that's a real good deal. So $1.2 million bucks, and he won't do it. That is an unbelievable that this guy who's been advocating these vaccines all this time will not defend his position.
Yep, and that's what it's up to $1.5 million now for the Rogan show. Okay, thanks, Steve, for letting me know that. I had heard as of yesterday it was 1.2, so it is increasing significantly. And then someone on CNN also told him, I don't think you should do it or give it any weight because these people are crazy. So it's really bad when they won't defend their own position on it. Lizzie Warren also brought up the NFL wants the best they can find. Why is that business model okay with professional football but not elsewhere?
And I can't play in the NBA. But by the way, great story. I don't know the guy's name, but he looked up. There's a guy going to be in the NBA draft this year who's never played basketball in his life. Didn't play in elementary school. Didn't play in middle school. I hate that name. Junior high was much better. And high school. He didn't, or college. He's never played basketball. But he read the rules and said, all you have to do is fill out this application in order to apply to be in the NBA. So I'm sure they're going to be rewriting that now.
Yes.
But he applies. He's going to be in the NBA draft. Is anybody going to pick him? Why wouldn't they? Are they discriminating against this guy?
And can he sue now because they are discriminating?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Things are getting too wild in the court system for me. I'm like, we need to go back to I believe you were the one that told me that in Savannah it used to be illegal to have attorneys here. Was it you that told me that?
I think once upon a time. I think even Shakespeare had mentioned that once.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So
I think that we should go back to that. I think we should limit the amount of, the attorneys, the lawfare that's happening in this country is just despicable to me. And people are suing over things that really are common sense.
We've turned suing into a national pastime.
Yes.
And it's ridiculous. The courts are all tied up with all kinds of garbage that doesn't need to be legislated or ever adjudicated. It's just it's pathetic. Go on Judge Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
That's a cute show.
Yeah.
And I'm amused at the people that are suing, and they're suing for $1,600 or $1,000, and these are all family members or best friends or something.
I know.
And it's like the show is hilarious.
Yes, but it's sad too.
But it is sad.
Our friend Steve Stanton says, "How about every time y'all mention CNN, pause the show while you go throw up."
Mm-hmm.
I know, CNN. We were just talking about how CNN's quality doesn't really seem that good compared to other
the Communist News Network, and
stations,
they had a CEO that was trying to turn things around a little bit. Got Donald Trump on, and they quadrupled the ratings that they had for that time slot, and so they fired him.
Again, they're not interested in making money.
No, they're not.
ESG scores only.
Yeah. And unfortunately, people keep the advertising agencies keep propping them up by buying advertising time on their air.
Yep. Well, we are going to go to break, but we have Jay Ratliff with us today.
What's going on in the skies and on the ground? What's going on if you're doing any flying anytime soon? Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst, is next.
Drew, I didn't think this was supposed to be a serious show.
At Get Real America, we want to make sure that the real story gets out, and you can help us as a sponsor or as an advertiser to make sure that that word does get out to the community.
Be a sponsor and support your local community here at Get Real America.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills. I want to be judged by my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Welcome back to Get Real America. Once again, time to go to the skies and find out what's happening in the air and the people who control it on the ground, or at least try to. Our good buddy Jay Ratliff, aviation expert, on the line here with us this morning. Jay, a good morning to you. What's the latest? I understand that there's a guy that was so anxious to get on the plane that he fell off that ramp trying to get on.
Yeah, this is in Spain, and what happened was he was actually late for his flight.
Mm-hmm.
So the jet bridge is being retracted. He's in the gate area. He sees that he's missed his flight, so he pushes past the gate agent at the door and runs down the jetway, trying to get to the jet bridge, which is several feet away from the aircraft as it's departing. And he starts waving frantically at the agents on the tarmac as well as the pilots, trying to get them to come back and get him. He was waving so much, Bill, that he actually fell off the jet bridge onto the tarmac. It was about a 9-foot drop. Ouch.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was the flight was delayed an hour. Now, from all the reports I have, I don't see that he made the flight. I hope he did not. We don't want that kind of behavior rewarded with getting on a flight. But if you go to YouTube, you can see many times in Spain and other parts of Europe, people, it's routine to pass security, have their carry-on bags they're dragging or carrying as they chase a departing aircraft across the tarmac. So this may become an Olympic sport or something. I don't know. But it is very, very interesting to see here. But, the bottom line is that for some reason, people seem to think if they miss a flight, they'll come back and get you. And obviously, you and I both know that's not the case.
Boy, that's the truth. In fact, there was a story I meant to get to you. We haven't been able to talk to you in a couple of weeks, but about they did some sort of a survey on what your favorite airline was or something like that. It's pretty much kind of a worthless activity.
Yeah, it is because, they're saying that the people that we like or don't like dictate who we fly. And that's not the case. If I hate Spirit Airlines, for example, or Delta or whoever, and they've got the cheapest fare from here to there, guess what? I'm booking Delta.
Exactly.
Price is always what dictates people's actions. Now, they did come out, Skymax or Skytrax came out with a survey of their best world airlines, top world airlines of 2023. And I can tell you, when you look at the top 20, there's only one U.S. carrier. It's Delta, and they're in last place in 20th. So most of the time in the United States, we're not known for our service. They also gave us the world's best cabin crews of 2023, 1 through 10. We're nowhere near. Garuda came in first, Japan Airlines 10th. No U.S. carrier there. Now, we did make the world's best low-cost airlines. Sun Country and Southwest took 7th and 8th. And finally, the world's most family-friendly airlines also included in this comprehensive survey. 1 through 10, crickets, no U.S. carrier. Air Canada came in first. So once again, service in the United States, U.S. airlines, commercially speaking, sucks. We're worse in the world than anybody else. And that's really a sad testament to what's going on. But look, that's what we see.
It is. I remember all the advertisements I used to see for Delta and United saying about how courteous they were and how prompt they were in service and how marvelous things were on board. And it just, United used to have these great ads about the cinnamon rolls that they served, and the chef was on saying, "Yeah, I made those for you."
Yeah, they smelled great, drove people and coach crazy when only the first class section got them. So it's, we endure travel these days. We don't enjoy it. And anybody that emails me saying, "Jay, I didn't feel appreciated on my flight," I'm like, look, all the airlines look at is, did we get from point A to point B safely? Yes. Did our bags arrive? That's a bonus. So as a result, what we're looking at is they did their job. So to me, as we kind of look at all of this, it's kind of indicative of the fact that, look, airlines are going to treat us the way we want until we stop coming back. And then if we don't come back, then they're forced to change how they treat us. The bottom line, though, is as long as we keep coming back, there's no financial incentive at all for them to treat us any differently than they do right now.
How's it look for the summer, Jay? They say that we're back to post or previous pandemic levels, in fact, and beyond.
Yeah, we're past it. In fact, we have thousands of fewer flights right now
Yeah.
that are operating. We have more people flying than we've ever had before. So the weather's been good. Airlines are doing a pretty good job. TSA's doing a super job. I don't want to jinx us, brother. I mean, I know we're about a third of the way through the summer. So far, so good. So let's just hope it continues.
Amen to that. What's this proposal introduced to lower the minimum flight hour requirements for pilots?
This comes from an independent as well as a let's see, we've got an independent and then a Republican from South Dakota that actually have notes or have a proposal out to reduce the minimum number of hours required to become a commercial pilot from 1,500 to, I believe, 500. And the lone voice of reason is a Democrat from Illinois, Tammy Duckworth, who says absolutely not. We are not decreasing the standards of safety for airlines right now. We need to make sure that we do everything that we can to keep things safe. Let's keep it where it's at. Unfortunately, what we're finding is that you have airlines right now, or the industry, that's enjoying its safest era ever of commercial jet travel.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, what we're seeing is this move, because we have a pilot shortage, to say, okay, let's make it easier for people to become pilots by lowering the standards. That's stupid. And the idea that a Republican and an independent are saying it's a good idea really concerns me, because it's not. It's a horrible idea, and I hope it goes nowhere. A lot of regional airlines asked the FAA last year, saying, look, we're having a hard time hiring. So as a result, can we lower the minimum hours? And the FAA, thank God, said, no, we're keeping it where it's at. And that's where it needs to stay. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the airlines have been coming up. I think it was United or something that came up with their own school now because we're getting so few Air Force and Navy pilots.
What they're trying to do is create their own farm club. And that's really what they need to do to try to help, because the demand for travel is going to double over the next couple of years.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's going to be interesting to see if we can keep up. Airbus and Boeing are going to have to keep up. Airlines are going to have to keep up. So it's going to be interesting to see where all this brings us.
All right, sir. Any amusing stories that we have here besides the guy falling off the end of the tarmac?
It's hard. It's hard to top that guy, especially with the pictures of that have gone viral. So yeah, I can't. Yeah. That one I can't top.
It's hard to top your analysis too, Jay. Always a pleasure. Thank you, pal. We'll talk to you again soon next week, I hope.
Looking forward to it, brother.
God bless. Take care. We'll be right back.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Heading down the home stretch here for this Thursday and also this week. Here it is, the 22nd day of June. Got some rain out there for the Savannah area. And when it comes to firebrands, Becky wrote a book of the same title. Matt Gaetz pretty much takes the cake.
Yes, and before we jump into the Matt Gaetz story, Steve Stanton says, maybe call the airlines a bigot next time. They will stop the plane. They might.
Yeah, that's right.
You never know these days what will work. So.
Yeah, that's right.
But Matt Gaetz, always a firebrand. I actually appreciate all of his questioning. Usually he gets a couple of good zingers in there.
So the hearings yesterday with the Durham. About the Durham report.
Yes.
This is what happened. They exchanged with them.
Mr. Durham, then it makes our job harder.
Yeah, well, if that's your thought, I mean, there's no way of dissuading you from that. I can tell you that it's offensive and that the people who worked on this investigation have spent their lives trying to protect the people in this country and pursue within the law what it is that we are authorized to do.
You tried 2 cases, lost both of them, and then the one guilty plea you got, Kleinsmith is back to practicing law in Washington, D.C. today.
That's beyond my control.
Right, but the fact that you allowed that plea to occur, right, and then the punishment was insufficient, the fact that you didn't charge Andrew McCabe, you didn't convict the lying Democrats or the lying Russians, you didn't investigate Mifsud or the Mueller probe, even though, as we sit here today in black letter, that was your charge. Have you ever heard of the Washington Generals?
The Washington Generals, yes.
Yeah, and they're the team that basically gets paid to show up and lose, right?
Well, I'm sure that the players who exert blood, sweat, and tears don't view it that way, but you might.
I think they do. I think they do because the job of the Washington Generals is to show up every night and to play the Harlem Globetrotters. And their job is to lose.
I'm sorry, of a different, I was thinking of a different thing.
Yeah, so their job is to lose. And I'm kind of wondering, and it just seems so facially obvious that it's not what's in your report that's telling. It's the omission. It's the lack of work you did. And for the people like the chairman who put trust in you, I think you let them down. I think you let the country down. And you are one of the barriers to the true accountability that we need.
Do I get to respond to that or comment on that? Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've ever investigated a crime.
I don't know that you have. You didn't investigate these, Mr. Durham.
whether or
How
not...
about Andy McCabe? Did you charge him? Did you investigate him?
Gentlemen, time has expired. The witness can respond, then we'll move on to our last.
I don't know, sir, whether or not you've ever had occasion to try to investigate crimes under the rules and regulations and under the Constitution that we're bound by. We can gather evidence in particularly lawful ways. Can't charge people because we might think
It's not
something.
just that
we
you
can
didn't charge, you
people.
didn't investigate. You didn't
time.
investigate the Mueller team
Gentlemen's
wiping their
time.
phones, and you
Gentlemen's
won't tell
time.
us who gave the orders because you're protecting them.
So his exchanges are always interesting, but I love that he compared him to someone that always loses. You're paid to lose. And I do think he brought up a lot of really good points of like, you really didn't do what you were supposed to be doing.
And it took a long time. But he stood up for himself pretty well against the Democrats, who were also throwing brickbats at him and telling him how disgraceful he was and about his reputation. I liked his answer when he said, "I'm concerned about the reputation I have with my family and my Lord," and those are the two ones that I really care about the most. So good on him for that. Meanwhile, another firebrand is Chip Roy of Texas, and he took some folks to the cleaners, and the Democrats walked out. When they don't like what they hear, they're gonzies.
I mean, at some point, Texas is going to say, screw it, enough. We're going to do whatever the hell we want to do. And I'll be an advocate for that. Because the people in this Congress are ignoring the people of Texas. And by the way, the migrants getting abused. That's the truth. Talking about people who are admitted into this country. We're talking about the legal definition of admission. Not the one app where you're processing people through a port of entry and just dumping them into the United States without having any idea when they return for a hearing on whether their asylum claim was legitimate in the first place, which it usually is not. That's the truth. Now, you can shake your head all you want. We're the ones holding the goddamn bag in Texas. It's true. Talk to the dead people in Texas. Yeah, good, walk out. You don't like the rants? We don't like what's happening to Texas because of you and the president down the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue.
I can't imagine trying to represent the state of Texas and literally getting nowhere all the time.
Yeah, it's a shame that he didn't speak his mind and just stayed in the middle of the road on that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless.
Well, I also think that one of the things I do respect about a lot of these firebrands, I'll call them the 20 that we love so much, that from January, is that they are doing the will of the people, even though it's difficult, even though it's unpopular. In DC, it's very popular back home, and I, commend these people that are willing to stand up for their constituents instead of going along to get along, which is what we normally see.
Exactly right. Well, of course, as we're about to wrap it up for the week, we always like to end the program, and now especially the week, on a positive note. Yes. There is a great organization called Companions for Heroes that was started by David Sharp, and he had a severe case of PTSD coming back. He was an Air Force veteran, had a couple of stints in Afghanistan and elsewhere, came back depressed. A lot of his fellow airmen and soldiers were killing themselves. And at some point, at 2 points in his life, while he was over there, he had his dad's .45 that his dad had when he was a Ranger in Vietnam. He pulled out his dad's .45 and put it in his mouth, had his finger on the trigger when his service dog came and started licking his face and broke the spell. He tried it again a few weeks later and made sure that the room was locked and the dog wasn't able to get in. He puts the gun in his mouth, puts a finger on the trigger, and the dog is somehow there, licking his face, and broke the spell, and thought, maybe I was meant to continue living.
Yeah, and he's an incredible human. If you guys have not met him, get involved with his organization. He's an incredible person. Indeed.
We did a feature on him some time back, and he does these fundraisers all the time. Last Thursday night, a week ago, he did a fundraiser thanks to the Savannah Bananas, and was here in town to talk about it. What his organization does, he says, is save 2 lives. You go to a shelter and you get a dog, maybe a cat, it might even be a weasel, but get something. And this has saved other soldiers' lives by those 2 companions for heroes. And he did a fundraiser last week at the Savannah Bananas game. And when you go to Savannah Bananas game, it's always packed, and it kind of starts off like this with the pep band playing for you. Games are always sold out, but they always preserve a block of tickets for fundraising groups like Companions for Heroes, headed up by the CEO and the main guy, David Sharp. What's he think of his first Bananas game?
It was phenomenal, and I really have to give a lot of praise and credit to Jesse for his story is phenomenal, from coming from rags to just a humble, amazing man who has put this on and turned this, what used to be called the Sand Gnats, to now the Savannah Bananas, which is a international known brand. So my daughter Mabel and I are so thankful for this opportunity. Companions for Heroes has partnered with Savannah Bananas for this night. Devon set this up through our marketing director, and I want to give them a shout out. Regina Wages for Companions for Heroes helped us get this. The 300 tickets that sold out in 12 minutes for our wounded warriors, their dogs, and also some of our donors. So we're very grateful for this opportunity.
And this is kind of a stepping stone to more, is it not?
We're hoping it is. We understand that Devon and Regina Wages are going to be partnering where Companions for Heroes will be able to have a booth here one of the games coming up, and also host some of our wounded warriors and their shelter dogs that we've had through the program. So we're excited about that.
Well, it's a real family affair, so bring everybody.
100%, absolutely. Again, we're thankful for this opportunity with Jesse and his team. They've been phenomenal hosts for us, for our wounded vets and their families and their children as well, who we actually help serve ages 2 to 18. We're getting a lot of applications for children who have anxiety and depression and post-traumatic stress disorder themselves. So we're thankful for this opportunity.
Well, David, we're heavily into shameless self-promotion, so tell people how they can get in touch with you and website and all that stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So we'd love for you to come visit our website. That's companionsforheroes.org. Companionsforheroes.org. You'll learn all about us. We train shelter dogs, or if you already have a dog, you can come to us for service or companion. That's basic obedience or a specific task for veterans, first responders, their children, and Gold Star families. So we're thankful for this opportunity. God bless everybody.
Thank you for what you do, and let's keep this up.
Absolutely, love to. Bill,
Appreciate
thank you as well for having us, and we appreciate your time.
God bless.
Yeah, man, you too.
Who you brought with you?
Oh, this is Mabel, my daughter. You want to say hi?
Hey.
Yeah, this is Mabel. She's 7. And she's the boss of the family right now because her brother's not with us. Yeah.
Next time.
That's right, next time.
All right, the Jesse he's referring to there, of course, is Jesse Cole, the owner, and he and his wife started the Savannah Bananas, and they maxed out credit cards and everything else. I mean, it was all in. They were living at the stadium because they didn't have any place. They couldn't afford to rent anything. They were either in the stadium or their car. And overcoming a lot of hate mail and death threats because people thought that was a stupid name, and how could they possibly be insulting Savannah? We were going to be the laughing stock of the sports world, and even the local media was not too kind to them. But but ESPN picked up the story. You can't buy that kind of publicity. And also, did you notice what he said? They had a block of 300 tickets that sold out in 12 minutes.
And that's the thing. Savannah Bananas, there's a line for season tickets. I believe it's like 70, 80,000 people long. Mm-hmm. So if you can get your hands on some tickets, go check it out. It is definitely worth it. I think that you never know where something's going to lead. And Jesse Cole and his wife had done an amazing job with the Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, and David Sharp, we're also going to do a feature pretty soon on his the son that wasn't there. He was visiting his mom down in Florida, but his name is Dax. He's 11, and he's a World War II expert.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's going to do it for us this week.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out at thelocalspin.com. Also, download our new app, The Local Spin. And you can also catch us on all of the social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, Apple, and Spotify. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
And remember, you can't spell Democrat without RAT. Take care.